So I'm hiking down what will be our driveway into the property. I'm sorry if the built-in mic on the camera is picking up this breeze. It's a lovely breeze. We've had, I guess it was technically a tropical storm that went by. So we got some rain, which is nice. But it's been cloudy the last few days. Likely to be a little muggy today, but it's bright and sunny and breezy and just a lovely day. And I've got a few things to do here on the farm. Now the grass is growing rapidly, and I really do need to try and get in here and somehow clean all this out to kind of preserve the driveway, but that's a long story, neither here nor there. Ooh, nice. So one thing I wanted to see, I'm now walking down into this little gully that we're going to have to bridge when we put the driveway in. And here's the results of all of that rain. You can see how the water has washed, but you can see that the water line's actually fairly low. It doesn't come up the bank much at all, but it's knocked all of that grass flat, which is wonderful to see. I mean, when I spoke with the engineers, about a year and a half ago about this project, that's one of the things that they asked was, how high up does the water come? And I said, I don't know. Now I know. It's not much at all. That is great. So we can put the bridge over it and leave the bridge really kind of flat if we wish. And I can't imagine that bridge ever getting caught by the rainwater there. So that's good news. Anyway, don't know where I was, or all the grass is high. Gotta get to it somehow. Blah 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 blah. All right, so got some things to do here, but one of the things I need to do is make the video about the shed, because I promised you that and it's been delayed. So I figured I'd talk about the shed as we walk in, and then I'll sit down at the shed and talk about it a bit more. At least it's not me in the in the townhouse just sitting there talking to this camera on a tripod. There's some interest, I guess. So I'm going to turn the camera around because you don't need to look at me. You just kind of need to hear me, and I'll talk about what's going on as we walk in, and I'll intersperse the trip with some B-roll footage. So here we go. All right, so why a shed? Well, the easy answer to that is, well, because it's a shed, and I need something that acts, like a shed. Really, all we've got is the Tesla. Even my little truck, which I didn't have. Yeah, I guess I must have had it when I started building the shed, but it's not supposed to be on the road, so I've been schlepping tools back and forth from the townhouse here and doing that in the car. And it's the car's 6 years old, but it's a nice car, and I don't want to beat it up, turning a Tesla Model 3 into a work truck. But it's really kind of all that we've got. Some of those tools are bulky, some of them are heavy, some of them are both. And as you can see, it's a bit of a hike from where we have to park the car to get into the property. So better to just bring the tools out here and leave them here. It's also frees up space. Our townhouse is really designed to be a short-term rental. It does sort of work for us, but it's a little cramped, and so we need this would get some of these things off of the floor in our house and put them here. So number one, I need a shed because I need a shed. I need it to store stuff that I don't want at the house. I need to store it here where it's being used. And the nice thing about the shed, put a door on it and a padlock, and everything's secure. So that's part of it. The second part is that the shed, the thinking was that the shed would be able to provide us, oddly enough, with water and power out here on this raw property. When I put the roof on, I put a gutter, and the gutter collects rainwater. Great. Now, I'm not going to be drinking this stuff, but if I'm, watering plants, if I moved plants from our rooftop terrace, out here and started to get them established on the property and all the rest, great. Now I'm not lugging gallon jugs of water down this path, every other day. I've got a source of water, on the property. And with a couple of solar panels on the roof, I figured I could put something together that would give me electricity. So I'd have power at the shed and water at the shed and storage for tools at the shed. And then the long-term issue, I guess, is where I put the shed is against the western property line, about 2/3 of the way in, about 600 feet or so from the water. So what that means is it'll be well behind the house, and it'll be where the pastures are. And when we put the pastures in, we're going to have electric fencing. And if I've got solar panels on the roof there, and if I'm generating power and I'm converting it to AC, I can get an AC fence charger, plug it in there, and away we go, right? It'll provide, all of that sort of stuff. And as it turns out, I wound up not mounting the solar panels on the roof of the shed, but I built a little lean-to attached to it and put the panels on that, and that will provide some shade and cover for the livestock when they're in the paddock that contains the shed. So there are all kinds of advantages to this thing. Now, here in Puerto Rico, we got a lot of termites, and you're not going to beat them. It's just not going to happen. So if you build in wood, they'll eat it. If you leave wood on the ground, they'll eat it. It's pretty remarkable. So we typically build in concrete. In my case here, I chose to build the shed in metal. In fact, right up in front of us there is a termite nest wrapped around that tree. And you'll find dozens of them on the property like that. Can't wait until we have chickens. They'll love those. But so, not going to build in wood, built in metal. And this was my first experience with metal framing. And it didn't go well, to be perfectly honest. I've done a lot of construction. I've done a lot of traditional wood frame construction. I figured it's basically the same thing, except I've got metal instead of wood. Not quite. So what I did was I laid out I did what I would do with wood. I laid out the first wall. I leveled out the area, and then I laid out the first wall. I laid out what would be the sill plate, put the studs in, the top plate to it, screwed it all together, squared it up. That's fine. While it's laying there on the ground, that's fine. And then I put corrugated panels on it, and I put those on in, I guess, what we would consider a vertical orientation. And I bought 8-foot panels because I wanted 8 feet on this particular side. This would be the southern side. And so frame the whole thing up. It's, I don't know, 10 or 12 feet long, 8 feet high. And again, if this were a stick-built construction, this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You just stand the wall up and then brace it, in place to keep it plumb, and then build the next one on the ground, stand that wall up, tie them together, brace them in place. It ain't rocket surgery. But the metal studs aren't rigid like a 2x4. And so you try lifting this thing up in the middle, and it's just me here, so that's all I can do. And it bends, which was suboptimal. So I do manage to get this thing up, and now I've got this wall that is 8 feet high and, I don't know, 10 or 12 feet long, and nothing else. And I'm doing my best to secure it, but I haven't got anything really to secure it to. I'm going to pick up this chair as we go past it. Actually, that's our path down here. I'm going to swing over here and pick up this chair and then cut across. So I got nothing to secure it to. I do have essentially the 4 sill plates for the 4 walls on the ground. So I secure this first wall to those sill plates, with just diagonal braces. And then I figured, okay, that'll work. And I go home and I come back the next day and I realize that what I had built wasn't a wall, but rather a sail. And the wind caught it and it blew it over, lifting and bending those sill plates, if that makes sense. So I've got, with metal construction, you have channels and studs. And the studs snap into the channels, and the channels are either at the bottom, in which case it's a sill plate, or at the top, in which case it's a top plate. Now we can see the shed the final construction. So the story ends well. I'm sorry for giving away the surprise at the end. But it just blew over. So I thought, well, rats. So I spent that day trying to restore what I had built, and I tried I built a little bit more of the sides, the east and west sides of the shed. I'm going to sit here under the shade. This was part of the design idea, is that overhang there gives me a little bit of shade. So anyway, what I did was rebuilt the southern wall here, and then the east and west walls, I put those up a little bit. Put a couple of panels up, maybe 1-2 panels in, and I figured, okay, now I've got weight on either side, and I squared everything up, and okay, that'll hold. At the end of the day, that's what I had finished up with. Go home, come back the next morning. Nope, it's on the ground again, and it's done the same thing. It's fallen over that way behind me, so the wall's up like this, it falls back this way, but that means it lifts the whole base of this up, and the walls there collapse in, and it's all bent and mangled. And I'm just thinking, this is nuts. So I do it again. Get that southern wall back up, straighten out it's just a shed, right? So I'm trying not to replace as much of this as save as much of this as I can, not replace it. So I get it back up in place and back in position, and that's really about all I can do. I don't think I add anything to it except cinder blocks on what would be this north side, down on the bottom there. So there's some weight to keep it, and it still collapses. So at this point, I'm just tremendously frustrated. And I think there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And as I think through it, I think, well, the problem is, Warner, you didn't build a wall, you built a sail. You built a wall that's 8 feet high, and it's just got this massive area that even a slight breeze like this is going to put a lot of stress on it. So rather than putting the corrugated panels in a vertical orientation, why not put them in a horizontal, which is how they are now? And sure enough, I pulled all the walls apart and everything, and just started from scratch again. But the first wall that I put up was just a single sheet of horizontal corrugated here, with the studs screwed in place where they needed to be, and I rolled that up. And now it's much more low profile, and I'm good to go. And that I was able to secure, and that stayed up overnight. And I put, the next wall with just one corrugated at it on the bottom, tied that one together, put the other wall up with the corrugated at the bottom. So I now have 3 walls, still low profile, never a problem from that point on. The last wall, the north wall here, because the door is in it, the framing for that was a little bit of a challenge. Required a little bit more brain power than just these solid walls. But so but once these first 3 walls were up with a single corrugated panel, it's not too difficult to put the second panel on, and it tightens everything up, and it's becoming a more rigid structure that way. The only problem really was, I think it was at about the 3rd panel, it was really impossible for me to do this on my own. There are probably 5 studs. Yeah, should be about, they're on about 24, so probably 5 studs on this side. And when, you're working alone and you pick that sheet up, the sheet's not terribly heavy, but it's heavy enough. What I'd hoped was that I could pick it up, put it in place, and use a clamp on that center stud to hold it in place. But the sheet's too heavy. The clamp's actually pretty good, but the sheet would just slide down. So even putting the sheet up, a clamp in the center, and then a clamp 2 feet to each side, which I could still reach, while holding it in place. Even with 3 clamps in, it would drop. So the issue is, because all of this is screwed together, I would have to hold it in position with one hand, grab my drill with the other, grab a screw with my third hand, and try and make this thing work. And it was an impossibility. So it just sat like that until Patty finished up her travel nursing contract. I guess this was in Connecticut before she left for Greensboro. And so she came home, and she helped tremendously, because I could put her on one corner and say, hold that there, line it up like this, hold it there, don't let it slip. And then I could move down, put a clamp in the center, hold it in place, move down to this corner, and now, with all of that, I'm able to get finally a screw into this corner, come back, put a screw in the center, go to where Patty is, put a screw in there, and now I've got 3 screws holding this sheet in, and I can finish it out, put the next sheet up, and away we go. So we knocked out the siding of this, the sheeting on this, in 2 days, probably, between the pair of us. And the whole sheets are easy. The back of this shed is 6 feet high, and the front of it is 8, as I recall. I want a slope so the water runs off. I wanted a slope because I figured I was going to put the panels up there, and that's a south-facing slope, so that would work. So the full sheets were easy. The larger sheets required a little bit of measuring and cutting and whatnot, but once we got those done, knocked it out real fast. And that was it. She could go off, and she ran off to Greensboro and did some travel nursing there. The front here, because the doors in here, the size of the sheets are smaller, and I was able to do that. And then for the roof, it's easy enough for me to put 2x4 metal studs in the channels there. They just snap into place. Screw them in to secure them, and then just lift a sheet. These are 12-foot sheets. Lift that sheet, slide it up, and gravity is working for me there. So zip, zip, zip. Put it all together, and the door, I will mention. One of the things that I've been working on in the townhouse is enclosing the second bedroom. The way these were put together, and it's all the same design, all 21 units, same design. Sort of kitchen, you walk in the door, kitchen, and then a living area, and then there's a stairway up to the second floor, which is where the bedrooms are. so you come up the stairway and you walk right into the second bedroom. It's open. If you do a 180 around that stairwell wall, that'll lead you in a hallway to the bath, full bath, and in the master bedroom. But that other bedroom is just open. So we didn't realize that, by the way, when we bought the property. We had rented a unit 2 doors down, and they had enclosed that bedroom, and we just sort of assumed they were all like that. So we were a little surprised to see that wasn't the case. What the previous owner had done is installed an exterior, pre-hung exterior door at the top of the stairs, which doesn't really serve the purpose, because, yeah, it sort of isolates the second floor from the first floor, but it doesn't isolate the second bedroom from the master bedroom. They're still kind of connected, so there's no real privacy or whatnot there. Now, I guess, if it's a vacation rental, mom and dad are here with the kids, and you put the kids, in that open bedroom, and mom and dad have their bedroom, and they shut the door, that's fine. You've got separation between the two, but it's just so. And the door just, the exterior grade door there just didn't make any sense. So what I've done is I've built a metal stud wall, drywalled it in. I've hung a door, so I've enclosed that second bedroom, but I removed that metal exterior door, pre-hung door, from the top of the stairs because it was stupid and it didn't work. And I needed a door here, so I brought it out and installed it here. And so now I've got a 36-inch metal door, and I've put a hasp on it and a padlock, so the shed is secure, and tools and stuff are inside. Come on in quickly, and I'll show you what it's like on the inside. Come on in. Boy. My guess is this is just too dark. So let me see if I can't plug this in and turn the overhead light on. Hey! All right. I'm hoping that'll provide you a little more light. That ought to work. So I've wired the shed. This contraption in front of us is a 3 kW inverter and a server rack battery. Rich solar inverter. I'm unhappy with that, and I may talk about that in the future. But this isn't just a budget EG4 server rack battery. Plenty of power to run whatever I need to run. The idea, of course, is to supply this with electricity from the solar panels. Solar panels will charge up the battery, and if it's plugged in, and you'll see I've got this cord is an AC out cord, and it's plugged into a pigtail there, basically, into that single gang box. Actually, it's a double gang box, but into that receptacle. And that energizes the entire circuit here. And what I've got, I guess we'll begin here, through that wall is an exterior outlet, and then an outlet. And you can see there's a wire that runs up, and it's hot, so it feeds that light, which is why it's on a pull chain. And then around and there is another exterior outlet. So I've got 2 outlets on the western side of the north and south wall. Then another interior outlet, and then around here, sorry if that's too fast, an interior outlet. So I've got 3 interior outlets, one in the middle of each wall that's solid, and then this light. And the idea is to just slide this hand truck back and plug it into the solar panels and let it stay charged and leave it plugged in here, so that this thing has just constantly got 120 volts of AC power. But if I need electric power somewhere else, that's just the tree scratching it, the roof. If I need AC power somewhere else on the property, I just unplug it from the wall there, and I can disconnect the solar panels. It would take a minute, tops. And then I can roll this thing out to wherever it needs to be, and I've got 120 volts of AC power anywhere I can bring this hand truck. And when I'm done, I roll it back in, plug it back into the solar panels to charge it up, plug it back into that receptacle there, and I've energized the whole shed again. So that's the idea. Oh, let me show you the solar array, such as it is, and the water rain barrel. So there's the gutter over top of the solar panels, and the solar panels are fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. The only problem really is with the inverter, it seems. It's generating, depending on conditions, somewhere between 110 and 115 volts, which is at the top end of what the inverter can handle. So, well, I'm sorry for the rather abrupt ending to that. I'm not sure what happened. Either the battery died in the camera or the memory card filled up, something, I don't know. Regardless, I was pretty much wrapping things up. So you've gotten to see the shed, and then there at the end, the solar panels and the rainwater collection. It's a modest little 30-gallon barrel, as I recall, but my water needs out there at the point are quite modest, and it's easy enough to add more collection capacity as things go along. In fact, I've got some ideas about some fairly substantial water collection out at the farm. Who knows? That may be a topic for future videos down the line. Immediately after that, I went and worked on the backhoe. As I sit here wrapping this up, I will tell you the backhoe is still a work in progress. That will be the next video. I'm really waiting until I can get some resolution of what's going on with it at the moment. I'm tracking things down, narrowing things down, so I'm pretty confident I know what's wrong with it, and I've got some creative ideas about how to work around it. So stick around for that. Again, I hope that comes up shortly. Please, if you like this, and we certainly did, I certainly did. It's one of those rare videos that has a rather happy ending, kind of like the solar power. This one turned out well. I'm quite happy with the shed. I learned a lot about construction with metal studs and metal channels. If you have some experience with that and you want to share some tips and tricks and whatnot, please do so down below. I'd love to learn from those who've done this before. As I said, I certainly learned a lot, and I know there's a lot more that I can learn. And this is the first of many metal structures that I'm sure I'm going to be building on the farm. So help a fella out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you'd like to follow along on the trials and tribulations that we're facing as we have retired down to Puerto Rico. Share this, please, if you know of somebody who actually may be going through the same sort of things that we are, or maybe wondering, old friends of ours who may be wondering what's going on with Patty and Warner. Let them know. I'd appreciate it. And as always, drop a comment and let me know. Again, tips and tricks for what's going on are always welcome. Words of encouragement, very welcome. Commiserations, if you've been through some of this yourself, that's great. Tell me what you're shouting at the screen as I'm making all of these mistakes. Or just drop us a note to say hi and that you're thinking of us. We'd love to hear from you. And I read all of the comments. Let's face it, there aren't many of them, and respond to them as well. So please keep in touch. We will attempt to do the same, and stay tuned for the backhoe video, which should be coming up next. Oh, and as always, if there's something else that you want to hear about, let me know about that too. See ya.